Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. This brother Raya, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprises, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up. Reading, praying, fasting, being diligent, taking notes, being steadfast, doing everything they can do to magnify the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all that are mighty akwap in this thing, right? That actually sincerely reverence their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers on fire for the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty akwap that are not married as of yet, but on fire for the Lord, building up themselves, taking care of the younger children, right, and doing everything to magnify the ministry. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty children in this thing, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of Yahweh Shem Shah. And last but not least, another strong shalom to the whole entire nation, reading, praying, fasting, doing everything they can do to magnify the name of the Lord in the last days. There's going to be an in-depth breakdown, right, on how to be the elect woman. Because a lot of sisters, they tend in this truth and they're very idle. They don't know what to do. They're hanging around. Should I sew? Should I cook? Should I clean? Should I get married? What's the gossip? What's the sister chat? What is this? What is that? It's a lot of confusion. And a lot of sisters don't have direction. Even when you have a husband, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have direction. Because a lot of sisters' husbands, they need direction. A lot of elders, man, right? A lot of prophets, a lot of evangelists, right? A lot of older men, right? They set up the church and govern it. But a lot of sisters, their husbands, they're out of order. They don't know the precepts. They don't know what's going on. And a lot of sisters don't even have husbands, man. They don't even know what's going on. They're trying to figure out when is the feast of dedication, when is the new moon. They don't really know what's going on a deeper level. That's why you have to hone in on a deeper level in these scriptures to find out, how do I be the elect woman? How am I going to be on fire? What do I do in my marriage? What do I do as a widow? What do I do as a younger sister? How do I be pleasing in the eyes of the Lord, man? Because we could go through the precepts and find out how to be the elect man. We could know to read, pray, fast, teach, go on the highways and byways, be occupied in prophecy. But what about the sisters, man? It's very important for all sisters to get the kingdom of heaven, man. This is not just for men. Everything of what is written is for the man, woman, and child in the nation of Israel. So I'm going to break it down through the scripture, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. Right? We're going to share my screen and let me know if you can see it through the spirit. Right? Just give me a strong con. Right? Give me a strong con if you could see my screen through the spirit. And we're going to jump straight into it. Let's go to the mighty book of Jeremiah, the 6th chapter. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6. And I'm going to start at verse number 2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman, man. So the Lord likens the whole nation of Israel to a woman. That should let you know right then and there how much the Lord cares about the woman. It's not about just the man. It's not about just Judas Maccabeus, King David, and Abraham. Those are our mighty forefathers, but you have mighty foremothers in this thing that actually helped the nation of Israel, man, that saved our lives through the spirit. What about the Hebrew midwives, man? If it wasn't for those women, there'd be no nation of Israel, man. There'll be no Moses. There'll be no building up the kingdom, man. Without certain women, without Martha, without Mary, without certain sisters that have led the way to help through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, there will be no nation. When a lot of brothers are out there sweating, laboring, teaching, who's keeping them fed? Who's keeping them watered? Who's watching the children? Who's making sure that everything is compacted and stayed together? It's the woman. But how does the Lord liken his woman to be? I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. And women have to be delicate, man. A lot of sisters, they're too strong-minded, overzealous with communication, talk too much, overly opinionated, always feel like they got to give their 2 cents, kind of rough around the edges, trying to match your spirit, coming with more of a sense of a man and headstrong type of approach. And the Lord is against that, man. The Lord wants Israel to be delicate. What does that mean? Meaning whatever Yahweh Shall say, the elect man will do. Wherever the Lord will lead us, that's what we follow, man. Whatever the Lord says, I'm not going to question it. I'm going to follow Yahweh Shah, man. Why? Because I trust in the Lord. I trust in his words. And I actually love Yahweh Shah, man. And he's our king. The same way the women have to have the approach with their husbands, building up the nation and helping govern, man. So off bucks, the Lord says straight up and down that his elect, his nation is likened to a comely and delicate woman. Now, how are women supposed to conduct themselves? It's not just about cooking, sewing, and cleaning, man. They're not vacuum cleaners or Swiffer dusters, right? The women have specific duties on how they're supposed to act, move, speak, dress, conduct themselves. And a lot of men don't even know these things, man. If you're a husband and all you know for your wife to do is cook and clean and shut up when you say that, then you're a poor husband, man. You're not a strong leader. And I don't mean you got to be some prophet, some elder, some chief saint with 1,000 precepts, but you don't know how to run your household, man. You got to know that your woman is more than what people paint them out to be, man. And we're going to dive into it right now through the spirit and jump into this thing, man. Right, let's go to the book of 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse number 9. Right, let me zoom in through the spirit. And it reads, let not a widow be taken into the number under 80 years old, having been the wife of one man. Now, with women, there's no rank. There's no super elder sister, the elder sister, the young sister. There's no rank with women. Women can't say, well, you know what? I'm an officer of the women. And all of the women stand here, then all of the women kind of bow down to that woman. That's not in the Bible. But with the spirit, you do have association with widows, elder women, and younger women. Now, we're supposed to respect the widow woman and the elder woman. But just because you're an elder woman doesn't mean that you have the knowledge of Yahushua or a widow. When you speak about this in 1 Timothy, the 5th chapter, verse 9, it says, let not a widow be taken into the number under 80. A score is 20, meaning 60 years old, having been the wife of one man. Because in the ancient world, they would have a list of all the widows, and those would be the elder women. And you can't really associate the younger women onto those widowed women, because those women, they had respect upon their name. Those women had respect. Like, I just can't join myself to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man, just because they're having a conversation. Meaning with the women, if you're a widow, right, or a younger woman, you can't join yourself unto these widow elder women, unless you're 60 years old, having been a wife of one man. And that's spiritual, because you could be a widow woman and have 2 husbands and 2 widows, you understand, 2 times. So it's literally guidelines how to join yourself. This would be the chief elect widow woman in the scriptures. It says, well reported of good works. So what is a woman supposed to do? Well reported. It didn't just say reported. A lot of women, they just bring some unleavened bread, man, to the feast day. And they bring some macaroni and cheese, right? They bring some fried chicken. They make some lamb, right? They take all of the children. Come on. They're about to teach. Come on. And then all of the little kids, they kind of run down and then they shut the door. That's good, but that's not well reported of good works, man. When you actually dive into it, what are the good works that these widow women should have? It says, if she have brought up children. It says brought up children, not watch them on the Sabbath, not watch them while your brother's children, right, then don't have a babysitter, man. That's not what this is talking about. You have actual women that are widows that tend strictly to the Lord, man. They're not thinking about a man. They're not thinking about the society. They're not thinking about building up a life for themselves and having children, and Their mentality is all for Israel. How can I help this brother? How can I assist and counsel this sister? How can I bring up children that have no fathers and no mothers? They didn't have homeless shelters in the ancient world. Who were the homeless shelters? The widow woman, man. She's like the elect woman for real. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to have a husband because you have a Proverbs 31 woman, but the Lord made a just balance to where you can still be a Proverbs 31 woman on a sense by not having a husband. Just because you don't have a husband doesn't mean it negates you from honor and respect in the eyes of the Lord. So you have certain people, right, that have no understanding. They just sending their kids off the babysitters and Uncle Jojo and Grandpa Cleophas, and they're smoking all type of cigars and weed around your children. So in the ancient world, they would bring them up, right, if they had no fathers, no mothers, or just to help raise the children, the widows. Because like the old sense, it takes a village to raise a child. If she had lodged strangers. So this woman that's a widow, she would have had to lodge strangers. What does that mean to lodge strangers, man? Let's go to the book of First Kings. Let's go to Second Kings, right? So lodging strangers was a big deal in the ancient world, man. Because what did strangers do? As a matter of fact, let me get 3 John real fast. Because if I'm a stranger, that doesn't mean that I'm of another nation. Meaning if I'm in Maryland and I'm going all the way to Florida, I need somebody to take care of me, man. My wife's not there. I may not have any food on my long journey. My feet may be sore. I may only have one sandal, right? Because along the way, it got kicked off in a windstorm and all hell was breaking loose, man. So when I finally get to a saint's house that will receive me, what will happen, man? The woman will wait on you. They will make sure that you're okay. They will give you water, bread. They will make sure that you're well taken care of. That's one of the chief things you can do, right? It's charity. It's lodge a stranger. Now, we were strangers in the eyes of the Lord, and the Lord lodged us, man. He brought us in. He brought us into the banqueting house. He cleansed us. He washed us. He made sure that we were okay. And the Lord took care of us because where were we coming from? Babylon, destruction. And when you think about it on a deep spiritual level, we've been bruised, mentality, right? We've been beat down. We don't know what's going on. We've been bent backwards and all our arms are broke on a spiritual level. And when the Lord lodges us as strangers, he cleanses us and makes sure that we're okay. It's the book of 3 John, right? Chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse number 5. It says, Beloved, thou doest faithfully whatsoever thou doest to the brethren and to strangers, which have borne witness of thy charity before the church. Which, let me read that again. Which have borne witness of thy charity before the church. Because you have in the Christianity church, all right, stand up if you got something to say. And Sister Jackson, stand up. Yes, I would like to say that I did this and I did that and I've taken care of this, and everybody will clap and they'll give their own testimony. No, man. In the ancient world, people will bore witness of you, not you bore witness of them. Meaning this sister, man, she's on fire. She's a saint. She does a lot of good works. So if you're in town, go to this sister's house. She'll lodge you. She'll protect you. She'll make sure that you're okay. It says, whom if thou bring forward on their journey after a godly sort, thou shalt do well. So people were literally lodged at strangers' houses, right, when you read the scriptures. Let's go to Acts real fast. Let's prove that with one more precept. That's what Paul did. Let's go to Acts chapter 28, and I'm going to start at verse number 30. It says, and Paul dwelt 2 whole years in his own hired house and received all that came unto him. So Paul was a saint. Gaius was a saint. These widow women, they're saints because they lodge strangers, help them and protect them. Now, when you go to 2 Kings, I want to get this other precept as well. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 4. So there's a blessing in lodging and helping and guiding as a widow woman. We're going to touch on the married, the widow, the younger. We're going to show you in the scriptures, each one of them, how to be the elect woman, what the Lord requires of you, how you contend unto the Lord with perfection. Right? Let's go to the book of 2 Kings chapter 4. right? And I'm going to start at verse 8, and it reads, and it fell on the day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained them to eat bread. So when Elisha was passing on from coast to coast, he's a man of the Lord. He's a prophet. So you see a great woman, and this woman was married, and she constrained him to eat bread because she wanted to make sure he was fed. And so it was that as oft as he passed by, he turned and thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, behold, now I perceive that this is an holy man of God, which passeth by us continually. This is what she said. Let us make a little chamber. So she made a guest room just for Elisha, man. Just for Elisha. Made a guest room for him. Puffed the pillows, put some blankets down there, put a candle, made sure he had light, gave him something to drink, gave him some bread. And she did all this through the charity of being a saint, man. So charity was different in the ancient world. It wasn't just you just give somebody a loaf of bread out of a car and you drive off, man. Or you give somebody a canned good. Or you just take your shirt off your back and you give it to them. Those are all very good things to do. But nevertheless, the charity was something serious in the ancient world. I mean, the way these women gave charity, I mean, would beat any of us today, man. We can't even keep up with the way these women tend and help the nation. I pray thee on the wall, and let us set him there a bed and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick at Salakia, that, and then when he shall come into us, that he shall turn in thither. So she made sure he was comfortable. So these women, I mean, lodging strangers, that's a very good deed. And she had washed the saints' feet. Now, when you read about the widow woman is able to do things that a married woman can't. That's why she has a greater lot by not getting married than getting married again. Now, if a widow woman gets married again, there's no sin in that. The Lord isn't going to condemn you and destroy you and overthrow you, and give you over to God knows what if it's of the Lord. But chiefly, a widow woman in the eyes of the Lord should stay a widow woman. Why? Because you're able to do things that a married woman can't. Now I'm going to read 10 again. Well reported of good works, if she have brought up children. Now, a married woman may not be able to do this on the level a widow woman was, because the man may want his woman over here. They may move, right? The husband may say, not today. This is what I want you to do. It shuts the door on a lot of opportunities to do things that the widow woman can. If she had lodged strangers. Now, a lot of married men wouldn't want their wife to be lodging strangers if they're not around. Because what if you're on a long journey in Ephesus? You're in Macedonia. You're in Thessalonica. And you're doing the work of the Lord. You may not want those spirits in your house while you're not there of lodging strangers. If she had washed the saints' feet. Now, a lot of married men is not going to let their woman wash saints' feet. Right? They're coming off a long journey. They're tired. There's 3 of them. Okay, go ahead, wash their feet. Go ahead, get them together. All right, lodge all the strangers. It's a house full of men. I mean, a lot of the times that's not really going to happen. So a widow woman will have an opportunity to labor more, put more work in, wash saints' feet, do and serve and do the work of the Lord. Because what is a woman actually made to do? Keep the commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and be an helper and stay and help me. That's why a woman was created. So when women junk off and be proud, have preeminence of themselves, be independent, do their own thing, tell the man what it is that they're going to do and what they're not going to do, that goes against the whole ordinance of why you were even created. The lamb was created not to wear a suit, man, and go to work and clock in and get on the typewriter. That would be absurd and impossible. No, the lamb was made for what reason? For flocks, you understand? For cattle, for food, right? For various clothing and different things like that. So each creation of the Lord has their specific purpose. Man wasn't just placed on earth to roam Babylon, to be a rapper, singer, and damn actor and actress. It says, if she had washed the saints' feet. Let me get a precept on that. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 7. Let's go to the mighty book of Luke. right? Chapter 7. It's the book of Luke, right? So like, bear with me. Chapter 7. And I'm going to start. I mean, this whole thing is very crazy. I'm going to start down at 37. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Yahushua sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster pot of ointment and stood at his feet behind him, weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears. So, I mean, this is more spiritual than anything, but nevertheless, it was an ancient custom for women when men would get on journeys and their feet were hurt, and they didn't have elevators in the ancient world. They didn't have Ubers and Lyfts and taxi cabs. These men were literally on foot or they were on beasts. It was hot outside, 80 plus degrees, 90 plus degrees. And these men, you know, they're damn near about to faint. They're tired. Their feet are dirty. You understand, from the dust and the grass and the elements and the rocks and the gravel. So when these women had an opportunity, they would take care of the men, man. And did wipe them with the hairs of her head and kissed his feet and anointed them with the ointment, man. So it was a very, very righteous thing for a woman to do what? To wash the saints' feet. If she had relieved the afflicted, meaning what? Somebody may have back aches, joints, pains. She's relieving the afflicted. They're crying. Whether she gave a massage, she put ointment on the back. Man, women were apothecaries. They literally did a lot of righteous things, man. They didn't just have a veil over their face in the back somewhere, man. Right? It says, if she had diligently followed every good work, but the younger widow refused. What does it mean the younger widow refused? Meaning she casted off her first estate. The Lord wants the widow woman to do all of these good works rather than get married. Because when you're married, you care more of the things of this world and your husband than you would the work of Yahushua. Meaning it's a greater lot to be a eunuch than it is to get married. You'll be more on fire for the Lord. You'll have more opportunity to do a lot more, you understand, in the spirit than a lot other people were. Right? Let me get this precept. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians. Let's prove that. Chapter 7. Right? And that started verse 27. And it reads, art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loose. Meaning, don't go off, man. You're bound to a wife. Take care of her. Don't just live a life of freedom and madness. Art thou loose from a wife? Seek not a wife. What does it mean to seek not a wife? Meaning, if the Lord set you up not to have a wife, don't be forcing the course of the river in every inbox, on every damn highway, in everybody's face. You're just knocking at every door, seeking something that the Lord isn't giving you. But, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she have not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. But I say, Salakia, but this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that they that have wives be as though they had none. I mean, it's a lot of work to be done in the nation, man. You're not going to be able to have time for your wife like you want to take her to the movies, right? Take her out on long walks in the park and things like that. And they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, right? Now, I'm going to jump down right to the point. It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 32. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried care for the things that belong up to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. So if you're a widow woman, your chief desire will be more of what the Lord would want. Then, you know, I got my husband's coming home. I know he likes hot sauce. I know he likes this extra crispy. His socks aren't the dryer, right? I don't have his highlighters laid out. I mean, that's not laboring for the Lord. That's just taking care of your husband and being in order. That's not arms and all that work you're doing is on a level to where you have to. It's not something that's greater of charity and good works. It says, but he that is married care for the things that of the world, how he may please his wife, right? So, I mean, the Lord says, let me go back to it in 1 Timothy chapter 5. But the younger widow refused. For when they have begun to wax wanton against Yahushua, they will marry. What does it mean, wax wanton against the Lord? Meaning those women start to get the urge of sexual desires and lust. Meaning it's okay to marry, but you're literally marrying not, for leadership and eldership and guidance. You're marrying just so you don't burn in the flesh. And that's literally that woman not being able to possess her vessel. So before she gets destroyed, she said, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and marry. But it's not in the right spirit. Because a widow woman, what are the elders supposed to do to the widow woman? Protect her, guide her, lead her, teach her, right? Direct her. You read about that, right? In verse number 2, the older woman as mothers, the younger as sisters with all purity. So the Lord set up Timothy, you understand, through the Spirit and with the elders to make sure that all little widow women are taken care of. So the women, what is Revelations chapter? And they don't know what's going on. They have eldership. They have leadership. They can ask questions and be directed. They could know when the feast days are, what this prophecy means, what this breakdown is going into, right? Help, quizzes. So those women could get built up and protected. The only thing a woman can't get from the elders is one thing, which is sex. That's why literally the younger widows, and when you're younger, your mind's in this world. Your mind's on the flesh. You have urges. It says, for when they have begun to wax wanton against Yahushua, they will marry, having damnation. So the Lord said a lot of widow women that marry again, they have a damnation, right? Because you gave up being an elect woman as a widow. You gave up washing saints' feet, lodging strangers, raising up the children. All of these mighty arms and works and deeds just for sex. I mean, that's essentially what you're giving it all up for. It says, because they have cast off their first faith. Meaning what? The Lord has given you a pathway to follow, but you didn't want that in all of those good works. You wanted a man. So you gave up all that just for one husband. It says, and withal they learned to be idle, wandering about from house to house. And a lot of women without, you understand, protection and leadership, and it's not just for the widow woman, even though it's in, going into the widow. A lot of women that don't have protection and leadership, they wander around from house to house, man. Let's just be honest. Let's keep it real, man. A lot of women, they're murmurers. They're always gossiping. They're not in order. They're idle. Because a man should set up his house. Hey, look, we're reading today. We're fasting today. This is what we're going to do. We're going to give alms next week. Right? We're going to cook, right, for these 2 days. So on the Sabbath day, we'll be straight. He gives order and discipline so that the woman, if anything falls out of order, the woman's supposed to look up to the man. It's not the woman just wandering around being idle, man. What happens when you're idle? You're on your phone 24/7, posting pictures, being vain, being thirsty with flicks, and now you're wandering about. You may be in a club, a bar, at your uncle's house, your wicked uncle. You're at your cousin Keisha's place, man, catching up because you haven't seen her in a while. So being idle, wandering from house to house is a wicked thing, man. But tattlers, also busybodies, and speaking things which they ought not, man. Meaning what? They're always in somebody's business. The Lord hates murmurers, talebearers. And who's the chief one that got the tea? Ain't it always the woman with no man? Ain't it the woman with no man always got all the tea, all of the talk? And chiefly a lot of those women, they're in the hair salons, man. Curling up the hair. Yeah, did you hear about she twisting up, damn near burnt their damn scalp, man. Just twisting and twisting. And the lady, she's sitting up there like this and not even realizing that it's getting closer and closer to the scalp because her mind's so fixated on gossip and tailbearing and all type of whipping murmurings, man. The Lord is against that. It says, I will therefore that the younger woman marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to an adversary to speak reproachfully. Now, what does it mean that the younger woman or the widowed woman, that shall have damnation because they tattlers and going about doting? Let's go to the mighty book of Judith, man. Let's explain that. Because just because you don't have a husband doesn't mean you're going to be a tattletale and all over the place. This is the book of Judith, chapter 16, and verse 21. And it reads, after this time, everyone returned to his own inheritance, and Judith went to Bethlehem and remained in her own possession, because she had a possession that her husband Manasseh left her, and was in her time honorable in all the country. And many desired her. I'm going to read that again. And many desired her. Meaning what? After she was a widow, she could have married again. She was beautiful. She was strong. She was mighty. She knew what it took to be the elect woman. And many desired her. Excuse me, woman of God. Can I have a moment to talk to you? Shalom, sister. Do you need any help with this? Akwaf. May I assist you in anything you may need? I understand whatever the case may be. And, do you want to go over the scriptures at any time? Blah, blah, blah. She didn't want to hear none of that, man. It says, and many desired her, but none knew her all the days of her life after Manasseh, her husband. Now, we could say through the spirit that she loved Manasseh so much that, that bond and that relationship couldn't be connected again, which was true. But on a deeper level, she loved Yahushua more than all things. And she knew the greater lot that she could receive as being a widow woman, not marrying again, tending to the Lord in perfectness, without distraction. It says, was dead and was gathered to his people. Check this out. And she increased more and more in honor. How do you increase more and more with honor? By the mighty works that we're reading about in 1 Timothy, the 5th chapter. And waxed old in her husband's house, meaning she didn't remove herself from her inheritance that her husband gave her. Being 105 years old, right? And her maid free, so she died in Bethlehem, and they buried her in the cave of her husband Manasseh, in the cave of her husband Manasseh. So this woman, she didn't give up her first estate, which the Lord had given to her, which was a greater honor, being a widow. Let's go to the book of Judith, chapter 15, right? And verse number 2. Let me read this real fast. I'm going to start at 12. This is the book of Judith, chapter 15, and verse 12. Then all the women of Israel ran together to see her and blessed her and made a dancing among them for her. And she took branches in her hand and gave also the women that were with her. Meaning she's leading the woman. Not that she's the captain of the woman, she's the officer of the woman, she's the elder of the woman. But that widowness and that widowhood and leading and tending to the Lord more without distraction, it puts a spirit on you. It helps you to be a mother. It helps you to be a guide, a protector. It says, and they put a garland of olive upon her, oil upon her, and her maid was with her, and she went before the people in the dance, leading all the women. And all the men of Israel followed in their armor with garlands and with songs in their mouths. So women can help. Women can lead, but they're leading who? All the women. Check that out. It says, and all the men of Israel followed in their armor. Check that out. So this woman, not only is she helping the nation, but she's also leading the woman, man. And that's what women have to do. If you're an elder woman, a widow woman, a woman that needs some type of sense of fulfilling their life without a man and guidance and what to do, hey, sister, make Yahushua your husband, which already is in the spirit. Make the church your husband. Make the works your husband. Do the works of the Lord, man. Don't wax wanton and on your phone. Oh, they're married. Like the picture. Feast day. Like the picture. Ha ha. Like the picture. This sister, that's a beautiful family. And then it puts spirits on you. I want a family. I want this. I want that. And now Satan is working on your mind, making you feel like you need something that the Lord said you never needed, huh? Why are there precepts like this? Why are there certain things for the woman to be guided in a certain way with honor and respect in the eyes of Yahushua if these things weren't true? So don't let Satan feed on your mind. feed on your vessel, feed on your hormones, feed on your flesh, and cost you to cast out for damnation. All because you want something that's not of the Lord, man. Right? Let me read on from there. It says, I'm going to start at verse 14, 1 Timothy 5:14. I will therefore that the younger woman marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachable. I mean, you can't give anybody an occasion against you. Talking too much, flipping over a dish, slamming the door. Now you're in sin. And a lot of the times, a lot of women don't understand that they can be in sin so fast by their husband. And if you can't perceive that or understand that, that's why we have lives like this, man. You simply saying no to your husband is not Sirach chapter 25, verse 1. Y'all being of one mind. You bucking up against him asking you to do something that's not even in the scriptures is a sin. He may ask you, you understand, to take the child to the car, and I'll be there in a minute. No, it's not in the Bible. And then you fold your hands, being stubborn, backbiting, tale-bearing. Women are very fast to throw themselves in a pit, all by not listening to their husbands, which essentially is bucking up against Yahweh. But a lot of men are fast in the same sense to be in sin. Because when somebody call you, they need counsel, you can give bad counsel. Don't give a precept to somebody in need and you're a teacher. That's blood on your hands. So the women don't have the same condemnation and lot that a man does, but men could be quick to be in sin too. Looking at a woman, automatically lusting, that's sin. So everybody could be in sin fast and in many ways, but nevertheless, these women have to understand it. It says, for some are already turned aside after Satan. It says, if any man or woman that believe have widows, let them relieve them, and let not the church be charged, that it may relieve them that are widows indeed. So the Lord set up all of these things for the widows, protecting the widows, guiding the widows, making sure that these widows are well taken care of through the Spirit. Let me get that real fast. Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 2, and verse number 21. I'm going to start at 20. Do right to the widow, judge the fatherless, give to the poor, defend the orphan, clothe the naked, heal the broke and the weak, laugh not a lame man to scorn, defend the maimed, and let the blind man come into the sight of my clearness. So that's a commandment. You have to do right to the widow. So the widow aren't going to be out there with no type of leadership. So through the Spirit, you have to understand, you have the older elect widow woman, 60 years and older, that cannot be numbered, the younger with them, because they have a longer rap sheet. I mean, you can have Miss Rebecca and Miss Sarah and Miss, T, and they're all together, and they're all different ages. And they all have done the same mighty works, but one did it for 20 years, the other did it for 2 days, and the other one did it for 2 months. And then they're all just the woman, the widow woman. Let's clap it up for all the widow women. Even though there are no ranks and positions, you still got to put respect on these widows' names, man. Put respect on the time they put in. Put respect on their name on a list of gaining and abstaining that honor, man. Right? Let's go to the mighty book, right, of 1 Samuel, chapter 13. So as a younger woman, you're supposed to be virtuous. We just read about the younger woman. The younger woman should immediately marry, man. You shouldn't be trying to marry when you're 30-something years old, 40-something years old, 50-something years old. After you led a life of sin, your body all beat up, it's used, right? You want to give yourself to your husband after you're 43 years old, man. I mean, all type of bruises on you. 17 men done had you. And you think that's the prize that a man has been waiting for from the foundation of the earth? No, you're supposed to be delicate. Given to in virginity. Given to in the perfected ripe fruit of your virginity and age, man. To your husband. To deflower you and have you, man, forever. Through the Spirit. Let's go to the book of 2 Samuel. Chapter 13. So in the ancient world, this is how the young sisters carried themselves and moved. It's the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 13, and verse number 18. And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her, for such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins. So in the ancient world, it wasn't just a bunch of men breathing and hawking and trying to find out who's a virgin, who's not, what's going on, who that sister over there, she married, what she talking about. You sitting up there at the feast day drinking wine, talking to another man's wife. In the ancient world, it was order. Okay, she has this robe on, so I know she's married. She has this robe on, so I know she's a virgin. She has this robe on, I know she's a widow. Meaning it's order without you protruding, breaking down the table, the door, the office, or whatever the case may be on the feast day, trying to find out for yourself. You'd have hopped up in the sister's inbox, Shalom, I was wondering if we could study together. She's married the whole time. It says, for with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins, apparel. Then his servant brought her out and bolted the door after her. So there was a certain way that the woman even dressed that were virgins. Meaning what? It was very, very, very virtuous. The way they conducted themselves and dressed and moved, right? So the younger woman, what are the women supposed to do in the household? Let's go to Genesis chapter 18. It's no big mystery, man. It's the book of Genesis. And stop worrying about your man so much as a woman. That's our problem. We're always pointing a finger. Well, you not doing this. How can a woman actually follow? I'm sick of this. How can I follow you if you're not leading the way you're supposed to be leading? Well, if that's the case, no man will ever meet up to the standards of what that woman will actually want. So she's essentially damning herself from ever following that man. Nobody will ever be rich to that sister's standards. Be as strong as that sister wants her husband to be. Stay up all night and work 12 jobs or make God knows what amount of money and have an abundance of kids. And every lot is different. Certain people have bigger families. Certain people can't have children. Certain people have jobs and cars. Certain people don't. They ride the bus and are broke and poor. Everybody has a different spirit of what the Lord gave them in their marriage. Don't let anything cause you not to fulfill the ordained lot that the Lord set you to be, man. Because the last time I checked, it doesn't matter if you're in a damn 2-bedroom apartment, a mansion, or a damn cot. The Lord wants you to honor your mother and father. Mom, you don't even have a job. We're on Section 8. I'm not going to do this. That sounds absurd. What would happen, man? You would get whooped upside your head. The same way that judgment parabolically is going to hit you unawares, man. If you women don't literally follow your husband, poor, rich, tall, short, fat, skinny, right? No matter what's going on in the society, you're created for a specific purpose that you have to fulfill. Now, this is the book of Genesis 18:4. I'm going to start at 5. And I will fetch a morsel of bread and comfort, right, your hearts. After that, you pass on. For therefore are ye come unto your servant. And they said, so do as thou hast said. And Abraham hasted into the tent. Right, Salaki, bear with me. Right, Khan, Salaki. Going back to Genesis, right, chapter 18:6, it says, and Abraham hasted into the tent unto Sarah and said, make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knit it, and make cakes upon the earth. Meaning Abraham knew that his wife was the cook, man. He knew that she was going to be a very, very good helpmeet and a servant unto him to make sure that food was cooked, the nation was in order, right? Under, him and his house being in order and all the things been done in decency. But if that wasn't the case, why did he come into a tent? I mean, your tent is your house. That's like you coming home from work, baby, can you make me XYZ, XYZ? She can't say, well, I'm tired. I'm hungry too. That's order. Right? A woman shouldn't be ordering everything for their man, man. You just giving them all type of diluted food and old bread and old meat and hocking up his high cholesterol. You're killing your man. All women should learn how to do all these offices of our foremothers. If a man's supposed to wear a hat, he's supposed to be a prophet, he's supposed to be a leader, he's supposed to fight and protect you and lead you, he's supposed to be a provider, he's supposed to be a father, he's supposed to be a brother. He got all these hats, but a woman just got one hat. Why? Listen to you. That's their hat. Why? Cook. How much more do you want me to do? I take care of the children. I cook. What if a man just said when he got home from work one day, I can't, I don't know, something got to give. You know what that woman would look at that man as? Being weak. A woman can't be weak, man. You're the weaker vessel, but that's not an occasion for you to be weak. You're strong. You are our foremothers, man. When I look at Sarah, I don't look at what she can't do. I look at all that she can do and more, man. Because, I mean, if I see Abraham, I'm not going to limit Abraham through my mentality and what he can and can't do, man. I'm going to just follow the lead of a righteous man. The same way, I want all of the sisters to know and not put a ceiling on yourself, man. Hey, man, if you don't know how to cook, learn how to cook, sister. It may take time. Don't discourage yourself. Don't have a defeatist mentality. Be optimistic and read and pray. It says, and Abraham ran into the herd and fetched a calf, tender and good, and gave it unto the young man, and he hastened to dress it. Meaning what? On a spiritual level. Abraham, he's the provider. He went to go get the food, and she matched him in the spirit by cooking it. And they're both working together in unison, in order, man. Right? It says, and he took butter and milk and a calf, which he had dressed, and set it before them, and stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. Now let's go to the book, because we're going into serving. Woman serving and helping. Now, serving isn't a bad thing. Who told you it was a bad thing as a woman to be, to serve and to help? Doesn't mean that you're nothing and you're anything. And woman, then she come down the steps and yes, more ice in the cup. No, that's not what that's talking about, man. Because when you're serving your husband, the nation, you're serving the Lord, man. You got to look at it like that. Hey, don't the men have swollen ankles and backs and they hurting, their voice going out and they getting rained on? They're the servant to the Lord for the people. You have to look at it like that the same way. Don't ever down yourself or look down at your lot because it's actually mighty. Let's go to the book of Luke, right? Chapter 10, verse 38. And it reads, now it came to pass as they went that they entered into a certain village, and certain woman named Martha received him into their house, man. So she said, these are the men of the Lord. You got to come in. And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Yahweh's feet and heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about with much serving. It says she did what? Much serving. Let's go to it real fast. Let's go to Luke chapter 10. Let's look up that word in the spirit. Luke chapter 10, right? And let's start at verse 40. Let's see what that word cumbered means. It says to draw around, draw away, distract, to be driven out about mentally, to be distracted, to be over-occupied, too busy about a thing. Imagine your damn mom, right in the 90s, in the 80s, showing that cord phone. She cooking, she on the phone, she helping you with your homework. That's how women used to be, man. Women used to be on fire, man. Now, let me pull this up real fast. It says, women of the world united, right? Now women are just uniting, human rights, everything for the woman. We want to be equal to a man, but you don't want to be equal to a man. Somebody break down in your house, you're not going to be equal to a man then. You don't want to be attacked and beat by the police like the men are. You don't want to have the pressure of knowing the prophecy to teach the nation, to lead like the men do. You don't want to be equal. Check this out. So from 1840, what did you have? Women in dresses. 1840, you had women in dresses. The first women's right convention 1840, they've been marching for rights, so-called, making up all of these different the creeds and feminism. Now in 1900, you had Women of the World united. So women are coming together, uniting under their rights. Women are pushing more and more in this society as what? As trying to be a man, to be masculine, to try to feel like they're equal. What are you trying to, you're going against the Lord, huh? You're going against your creator, trying to be equal to a man. What do you mean rights? Why is cooking needing rights? Why is cleaning needing rights? Why is doing what you were created to do, which is beautiful, needing rights, man? Check this out. A woman's riot. They had a women's riot in 1927. Just a bunch of women out of order rioting and fighting. Now in the 1900s, we got that famous so-called picture, we can do it all. Right? They got muscles, right? Their shirts on, they're trying to be men. Who's pushing this? Esau, 1940, marching, armies. The United Nations is born. Hold on. 1960. What's going on in 1960? A feminism march. So we just keep going. We keep going and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger with rights. Women, they're forgetting their first works. They're not wearing dresses. They're being more manly. They're doing parades. They're activists. They're lifting up their fists. They're trying to be equal to a man. 1980, what's going on? Right? Woman in the highest position of state in the world in 1995. So they just keep lifting up and lifting up and lifting up over time and time to where what? They're going to compass a man. Now women are making more than men. Women are telling men what to do. Women aren't cooking anymore. They're independent. Women aren't sewing anymore. They're shopping online. Women ain't doing the things that they used to do because they can hire a maid to do that. They can hire a butler to do that. So you got to really see how the world has conditioned our women and how bad the mentality that they put them in, man. And we just keep going in education and rising up for women's rights, and it just gets worse. Look, the time is now. What do you mean the time is now? To rebel more against men and rise up? To try to lead the nation? So when you look at this, let me go back to this precept. It says, but Martha was cumbered about with much serving. Meaning she had a lot going on, man. I mean, imagine all of the men, all of the unleavened bread, or whatever she was cooking in the house, all of the lambs she was getting together, right, or serving them, or whatever the case may be, and came to him and said, Lord, doest thou not care that my sister have left me to serve alone? Meaning, what are you doing there listening to Yahushua speak when we need to be doing woman's work? Bid her, therefore, that she help me. So it was such an ancient mentality of a woman to serve that it seemed off to Martha for her to even be in the room listening to Yahushua speak, which overthrew her judgment. It says, and Yahushua answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things. But one thing is needful, and Mary have chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her, man. Right? So that serving and that spirit of those women doing that is very, very important in the ancient world, man. That literally helps, I mean, so much through the spirit. Right? Let me get this other quick precept. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel. Now you can have serving on the right-hand side, and then you can have serving on the left-hand side. Don't be a foolish underling woman that serves on the left-hand side. It's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 8 and verse number 10. It says, and Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. And you're going to have a wicked king that's going to reign over you. And a lot of women, they have wicked husbands, which are their kings, that reign over them, huh? They do a lot of things that they ought not. Spit on them, talk about them, burp in their face and farting and throwing their socks everywhere and just fanning the room, right? Not putting on deodorant. And everybody just being a nigga. It says, he will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be horsemen. And some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50s, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries and to be cooks and to be bakers. Now, is that a good thing? Let's go to that word. Let's look that up. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 8. So, I mean, it's good to be a cook, but it's how you serve. You know, the Lord is not without woman just slaving to be nigger woman in the kitchen. Just serving and sweating. They can't read. They can't fast. Right? These are ointment makers, perfumes. So you can't have a woman just serving, putting spikenard, cinnamon. She's sweating. She ain't read today. She didn't shower in 2 days. The baby's crying. They haven't been changed. And you're just making her work. Woman is not a mule. Right? It says this. Let me go back to it. To be confectionaries and to be cooks and bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. So we had these women doing what? Cooking, cleaning, baking, making perfume. So, I mean, you got to use wisdom with what you do as far as a woman and how you treat a woman, man. You know, you don't want to be overly power drunk as a man. And a lot of men are power drunk, man. Can't wake your woman up 4 o'clock in the morning and say you want a sandwich. It's being unreasonable. Lord didn't wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning and told you to go outside and labor. I mean, essentially, you might start to hold resentment to the truth. Damn, I mean, I wish I my king. He my Lord, but yeah, you start to murmur under your breath. Give me the book of Revelation. You have sleep, your spirit not really in it. How much more a woman? She's tired too. She's sleepy too. She has feelings. She has friends that she wants to talk to, places she may want to go. She may want her feet rubbed, man. She may want to soak in Epsom salt and sip some wine and light some candles, man. Listen to some music. So you don't want to be overly foolish with the decisions you make with your household. As a man, it overthrows it. Now, what did the woman do? They followed Yahushua. Let's go to the book of Luke. Right? Let's go to the mighty book of Luke. Chapter 23. It's Luke chapter 23 and 26. And it reads, and as they led him away, talking about what? The crucifixion. Delivering up our king, Yahushua the righteous, man. It says they laid hold upon one Simon, a centurion coming out of the country, and on him they laid the cross that he might bear it after Yahushua. And there followed him a great company of people and of women, which also bewailed and lamented him. So these women are crying, they're exhortating them, they're building them up. I'm led to believe these women were given precepts, quoting precepts, enduring to the end. They're literally going through all these, can thy heart endure through the old precepts of the scriptures, which is the Old Testament. Get him exactly what he needed, man. Right? Helping him out. They're bewailing and lamenting. So don't just think you just have the spirit of Yahushua just because you're a man, and the women, they just, they're on a low level. No, they love the Lord just as much as you do, man. To bewail is to scream and cry and lament. They were crying and following it. Like Peter, man. Didn't Peter follow the Lord? But Yahushua turning unto them said, daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children, man. Check that out. And the Lord said, don't weep for me. Weep for your children. Weep for yourselves. For behold, the days are coming, in the which they shall say, blessed are the barren, and the wombs which never bared, and the paps which never gave suck. So even on his dying bed, getting delivered up, he was thinking about the woman, thinking about how they are going to be destroyed. How the Roman Empire with the siege was going to come in with all type of tactics, overthrowing the babies, slamming them down, killing them, and all the ways that it would be hard to eat, man, in the Roman Empire through the siege. So even on that, he wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about what? His own people. He was thinking about the woman. And that's very important and deep and spiritual when you think about it. Let's go to Luke chapter 1, verse 28. It's the book of Luke 1 and verse 28. Let me just go to the first chapter. Right? And it reads, and the angel came unto her and said, hail, thou art highly favored. The Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. What does it mean when you're highly favored, man? Now, this is not highly favored amongst men. And highly favored, on a low level, man. You highly favored with the Most High. Let me look this up, man. What does highly favored mean? They even have a definition. Right? It says this sole scriptural reference even remotely suggests that Mary might be worthy of worship, while the angel gives Mary a number of high compliments. Check that out. So, Mary was on a different level. This woman was created to be the mother of Yahushua, man. She was highly favored. There's no in-depth breakdown of all the good works that Mary did, all the prayers she did, all the time she fasted. She helped the younger woman. She cooked, she cleaned. She was submissive and blameless unto Joseph. It says, blessed art thou among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. Because she was a wise woman. She didn't just bow down to the angel. You can have any angel appear to you. If an angel appeared to a random woman, she'd be just foolish to just hearken to it. It'll be an evil angel. It'll be a righteous angel. So she had discernment. And what had her to have discernment? The angel not pronouncing himself. Because always when you read the scriptures, the angels pronounce themselves. I am Gabriel, the archangel. I am Uriel, the archangel. I am Raphael, one of the seven. They pronounce themselves. But the angel, which was a mystery in the book of Judges, the 13th chapter, he didn't pronounce himself. So she ran to go get her husband. She didn't know what was going on. But then after she was troubled and didn't know with her discernment, then the angel pronounced himself. And the angel said unto her, fear not, Mary, but thou hast favor with God. Check that out. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Yahushua, man. Check that out. So literally, the Lord is dealing with Mary on such a level that he chose her out of all the women that are on earth to bear his son Yahushua. Let me read that again. It says, and the angel said unto her, fear not, Mary, but thou art found favor with God. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Yahushua. Now I'm going to jump down right to verse. Matter of fact, I'm going to rest right there. Right? Yeah, I'm going to rest right there. Let's go to the book, the mighty book. Right? So like, bear with me. Let's go to the mighty book of Luke. Right? Chapter 1. Let me start at. I'm going to read 33. And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom there shall be no end. Let's go to Luke chapter 1 and verse 5. It's Luke chapter 1 and 5. It says, and there was in the days of Herod, the king of Judah, a certain priest named Zachariah of the course of Abia, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name Elizabeth. Now they both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and the ordinances of the Lord, blameless. So a woman can be perfect according to the Bible. She could be blameless, and she could walk in all of the commandments, the ordinances. Stop thinking it's so impossible to be righteous, man. It's so impossible to be blameless. We do it through the faith of Yahushua, not by our own righteousness and our own works. We have so much faith that the Lord is going to guide us because our hearts are sincere, upright, and we want to do the commandments. We want to be perfect. We want to be upright, man. And this woman was what? She was blameless. Let's go to the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 3. Now you have a lot of women that labored in the Gospels with Paul. You got Mary, when you read the book of Romans, chapter 16 and verse 6 all the way down, right? You had Phoebe. You had a lot of women that were on fire for the Lord, right? This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 4 and verse number 3. It says, I entreat thee also, true yoke fellow, help those women which labor with me in the gospel, with Clement and with other my fellow laborers whose names are in the book of life. So every sister watching this, you got to know that there's hope, man. Your name could be in the book of life, man. And it's not the book of all sins where you disrespected your husband. And I mean, a woman had the bad a lot, man. They feel like they're the weaker vessel all the time. And that's the scripture they keep hearing. And, you know, they can't do the mighty things that a man does. And, you know, they seem to be always in a shadow. But not so, man. Because your names are in the book of life. So this man could labor, stay up all night, teach in 15 cities, and you being in order, and y'all both names are in the same book, man. This man could be an elder and a priest. Your name is in the same book. This man could be the elect, 144,000. And you could be just a young sister from Detroit somewhere, man. Alabama, Florida, Mississippi. You understand New York City. But your names are in the same book to receive the same lot, the same penny a day to get what? The kingdom of heaven. So that's a very mighty thing that you got to always remember and think about. Now, let's go to the mighty book of Tobit. Right, let's go to the mighty book of Tobit. Let's go to Tobit chapter 3. Tobit chapter 3 and verse 14. It says, Thou knowest, Lord, that I am pure from all sin with man. Meaning I'm not a what? I'm not a whore. I'm not a foolish woman. I'm not walking around doting about being unshamefaced and moving around in a wicked spirit, man. A lot of women are batty with their eyes. A lot of women are easy. A lot of women are not virtuous. If a man gets you, you have to have some type of chase if you're a woman. Can't just don't be so easily approachable and easily to be talked to. How much more a married woman, man? If there's a whole tumult going around and you're talking, a woman should face the other way. If there's a man or something present, a woman should feel uncomfortable. If a man is trying to talking to you and your husband's not around, you shouldn't say anything back. This is a certain spirit you should be in as a woman. And this woman, she was on fire, man. Right, Sarah and Anna. It says, and that I never polluted my name. A lot of women, they pollute the name that they have. This sister's a murmurer. This sister, is that her second husband? This sister, she can't listen to her husband. Don't think women don't talk, man. You don't want to be known as that sister that can't listen to your husband. Because whenever you call somebody, that's exactly what they're thinking of you. Damn, you always having problems. Damn, your house always out of order. Damn, why is this going on? And it's going to be like what? Like a virus. It's going to be everywhere. You could pollute your name by the smallest of things. It says, and that I never polluted my name, nor the name of my father in the land of my captivity. And I am the only daughter of my father, neither have he any child to be, but as heir, neither any near kinsman, nor any son is alive to whom may keep myself for a wife. My 7 husbands are already dead, meaning she was betrothed to 7 men. Not that she laid down with 7 men. And why should I live? But if it please not thee that I should die, command some regard to be had of me, and pity taken of me, that I heard no more reproach. So this woman's prayer was answered not because she was beautiful, not because she had long hair or short hair and didn't grow that much, so she did a little slick design, not for any madness, because she was pure. Women are going to be heard when they're pure, when they're upright. That's when the Lord regards their prayer. Don't think your household is never going to be protected and led in righteousness because you don't know what to do and you're not blameless. What happened to Abigail, man? And the Lord killed Nabal and gave her David, a righteous man. So don't ever think that your situation and what you're dealing with is boxed in and you have no hope. This woman could feel like she have no hope. Picture having 7 men that you're courting, and she didn't court them every day. You know how long it takes to court somebody to want to marry you? There's no breakdown of how long this even took, man. How stressful it was to have somebody you seemingly love to die. Then you try it again, then you die. You try it again, and then they die. That could shake somebody. That's like a woman with a broken heart. She gets a broken heart from a man. I don't know about the next one. All men are the same. And then she starts to be a whore in the streets with no trust and no love in her vessel, in herself, man. She's just for everybody. No, this woman had to literally go through man after man and situation after situation. That could do something to you mentally, man. Yet she had faith and trust in the Lord, that the Lord regard her prayer as a saint and a woman of God, right? Let's go to the mighty book, right, of Tobit, right? Chapter 2 and verse number 10. So what happens in a woman? A woman can help around the house, man, but also a woman could work. So, I mean, don't think that a man is just supposed to take care of every single thing and a woman can't add anything into the house. No, woman could work. They're not necessarily required to work and get damnation if they don't have a job. But I mean, in this captivity, your man doesn't have 1,000 bullocks and oxen, man. Your man doesn't have land. Your man doesn't have servants. He's under the curses, poor, broke, and have a lot weighing on him through oppression, through all type of bills, all type of decrees and laws and different things and parking tickets and everything just weighing on your man. A woman should want to ease that all type of ways. We're all grown and in the spirit, we're doing our maritable duties to ease the pain of a man, to help the man emotionally. You understand? If he's falling short, not necessarily be a pillow talker, but understand that your man, he lost his job, man. Be compassionate. Know what to say, when not to say, when to talk, when not to talk. All of these things help a woman to be perfected with discernment. Let's go to the book of Tobit, chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, and I knew not that where the sparrows on the wall, mine eyes being open, the sparrows muted warm dung into my eyes, and the whiteness came in my eyes, and I went into the physicians, but they helped me not. Moreover, archilitis did nourish me until I went to Ulamus, and my wife did take woman's work to do. Now I'm going to read this part in verse 10 again. It says, and I went to the physicians, but they helped me not. And your husband may go to another job, but we're not hiring. He may go to another establishment and they decline. He may go to another so-called business to get a loan denied. And your husband may get doors slammed. He may feel like he can't see and he has no sense of direction. A woman is supposed to be what? A helper and a stay, a pillar of rest. What does it mean, a pillar of rest, man? Because I don't know about you, but when a man is working all day long, he literally yearns for that bed to ease his pain and relax on, man. That's how a woman is supposed to be, like a merchant ship. She does so much she brings to the household, like a pillow, man. When all else fails, tumults, demons and uprises, uproars, bills, Satan, trouble in the flesh. You're not supposed to be your husband's enemy. You're supposed to be that pillow, that rest. You're supposed to be the comforter, man, and help your husband in times of distress and need, man. It says, and Anna, so like my wife Anna did take woman's work to do. So they're all women's work. So women shouldn't be trying to be in the damn gym, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, have you not read Tobit chapter 2 and verse 11? I can work wherever I want to work. A woman is an Uber driver, driving around all of these men, breathing in the back seat, trying to talk to them. No, I'm a virtuous woman. Don't worry about me, baby. Right in the office, and there's nothing but men around. No, women's work. There are a lot of things that women can do to gain money that don't put them in a wicked environment or situation to where they're just pushed to sin or pushed, right, to be forced in a situation that goes against the commandments. Now, women could work, but also let's go to the book of 2 Samuel 20 and 22. So we're going into women being workers. We're going into women serving. We're going into women being widows, helping the children, but also women are wives. Let's go to the book of 2 Samuel. So women aren't just, a mule, right? They can also give knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. There are wise women in the scriptures. Let's go to the book of 2 Samuel chapter 20 and verse 22. And it reads, then the woman went into all the people in her wisdom, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Berechiah, and cast it out to Joab. Then he blew a trumpet, and they returned from every city, every man to his tent, and Joab returned to Jerusalem unto the king. So it says this, then the woman went unto all the people in her wisdom. So who else can give counsel? Who else can give direction on what we should do? Is it just the man? Who else can pray for the Lord, for the nation in times of distress and trouble? Is it just the man? No, the woman could do that, man. Because it may be a certain situation that you have 8 foolish men with snotty nose and no beards, and they don't know what's going on. Then a woman has to stand up with judgment like the board, man. What was going on during the time of Judges? There was no king. There was nobody to rule and direct the people uprightly, man. There was nobody to stand up with judgment, discretion, right? And things to get the nation in order. So a woman, she had that knowledge. She knew what to do. She had the judgment. If you got 19 foolish men, I'm not about to listen to them. I'm listening to this woman that has wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You don't want to put a spirit on a woman just because she's a woman. She's just a woman. I have to inquire from a man. And then this man's a blunt, he rolling it up. No fringes on. But the scriptures, 1 Corinthians, man. Chapter 11, verse 3 all the way down. It says, then the woman went unto the people in her wisdom. So women are known for having wisdom. That's 2 Samuel, the 14th chapter. Let me get this real fast. And it says this. I'm going to start at 2. And Joab sent to Tekoa and fetched thence a wise woman. Why did he go to Tekoa? Because that was a place where judgment was. When you would seek judgment in the ancient world, you would go up to certain places, right? When you pray, you would go to Mizpah. When you would do certain things, the Mount of Olives, Yahweh would pray. When you want wisdom, knowledge, and understanding and judgment, you would go to Tekoa. So there were certain places that men derived or went to for certain things. It says, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint thyself with oil, but be as a woman that have a long time mourn for the dead. So what happened, man? He went to go get this woman that was a wise woman. Let's go to the mighty book of Judith. Now, let's go to Judith, the 8th chapter. Judith chapter 8 and verse 30. And it reads, but the people were very thirsty. Imagine a whole nation very thirsty. They want something to drink. And they about to faint, and all hell breaking loose. And compelled us to do unto them as we have spoken, to bring an oath upon ourselves, which we will not break. Therefore now pray for us. What did men ask a woman to do? To pray for us. So don't think a woman can't lead a prayer. You may be with your wife, man. Hey, you can lead the prayer. then I can lead the prayer. That don't mean you put a spirit on your woman, now she's leading the way with everything and she's the leader. No, it's okay for a woman to pray, man. Pray for me. Now, I may be weak in the spirit. The Lord may not receive my prayer. Why didn't the Lord receive anybody else's prayers but a prayer of a woman? These precepts are written for our learning's sake. Because thou art a godly woman, and the Lord will send us rain to fill our cisterns. So one woman's righteousness could feed and help save a whole nation of people dying of thirst, man, which is spiritual. Because a woman can help with wisdom. She can help with discretion. She can help with knowledge. That don't mean she's a teacher. That don't mean she's a prophet and an elder. But that means that she can assist and she can help, man. There are women teachers that teach the younger sisters. There are women prophetess. There are women elder, man. There are women elder widow women, man. That were numbered. You understand? It says, and we shall not faint no more. Then said Judith unto them, hear me, and I will do a thing which shall go throughout all generations to the children of our nation. And she was a prophet. So not only did this woman pray, lead, direct the women, she also prayed for the nation, and she was a prophetess, man. So this is a very, very important thing, going into it. You have to use wisdom, discretion when it comes to these women. Let's go to the mighty book of 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse number 5. Right? As a matter of fact, yeah, I'm going to get that. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 5. It says, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. See, you have certain people that are wicked. You don't want to be a wicked woman. It says, for of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. So a wicked portion of a man is given to what? A wicked woman. So you got to think too, why you're dealing with a wicked husband and why everybody you're courting is of Satan and why you committed this situation to where you're married, but it was out of lust. Now you can't marry again. Maybe you're a silly woman, man. Maybe you're led away with sinners. Maybe you're in a multitude of them that have no understanding. The Lord said, for of this sort are they which creep into houses. So you have to watch for men that creep in the house. They just want another wife. So he's creeping in your house to lead you away captive. Every woman doesn't have to be a multiple wife, man. There's no law that says thou has to be his multiple wife. No, if you seem to be fit, the man is a man of God. He running his house in order. You have no problem with whatever Yahweh says. And you can dwell in order and safely in that environment and household will be, man. But don't be led away with diverse lust. Don't be led away with doctrines, customs, religions, right? Being a multiple wife and all manner of confusion by being silly. That's why it's very important to be a learned woman. Because if you're not, you'll just be a fool. You'll be a light-minded airhead, man. You're just sitting up there. Yes. All right, this is what we're going to do. Yes. All right, this is what we're going to do. Yes. You don't even know what's going on. Why are you saying yes? And the next thing you know, man, your bank account is cleared out and your husband is talking about how you got scammed. Or this man that you're courting is asking for all of your so-called bills and your name and your social security number. You can't trust me now. How you think you're going to be able to trust me when we get married? Okay. You give them your credit card numbers, 599-756-759-510-0159. And then you say, what's the expiration date? 0529. And you just giving them all of this stuff, and he's just leading you away captive, man. It says, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of truth. So you could be ever learning, but sisters got to know what to learn. You got to know how to learn. You got to know who to learn from. Because you can ever learn certain things, but are you learning what you need to learn? I could be in prophecy all day, but do I need that? No. I need the commandments. So you can ever learn quasi knowledge and this and that, and you could be all over the place. But chiefly, you got to know how to literally keep these commandments and be an upright sister. Know how to deal with the sisterhood. Know how to be a good wife. Know how to be a widowed woman. Know how to care for the children. That's your crown, huh? Not what you have on. Not your skin complexion. Not your perfume and oils. Those are not your crowns, man. Let's go to the mighty book of 1 Timothy 5 and 7. It's 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse number 7. I'm going to start at 6. It says, but she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. So a woman live in the pleasure, they're dead while they're even living, man. What can a woman live in pleasure doing? Whatever they want to do. You're not made to do your pleasure and what you want. You're made to follow. What happens to a stubborn ox? They get pulled, right? Or you can have submissiveness and easily to be followed. A man shouldn't have to wrap something around you and pull you and yank you, and you going like this, and you got a bribe on your mouth. Just what the Lord said. Ah! And then she said, and then all hell breaking loose, man. You're sitting up there with a chain and a rope. You feel like a cowboy. No, everything should be in order. You're supposed to walk. She's supposed to want to follow you, man. You're supposed to want to follow your husband. If you don't want to follow your husband, you have to check your spirit, man. Now, if he's telling you to commit sin and lewdness, all praise to the Most High that you have the discretion to depart from that and use wisdom. But if he's not causing you to be in sin in any type of way, and you're just bucking up and he's feeling like he got to make you do this, you always got to pull precepts on you. You got to watch out for those sisters. Your man always got to pull a precept all the time. It's not needful, man. Abraham didn't have to pull a precept on Sarah when he wanted some food. Right? Well, blah, 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 blah. Man, what the Lord said in 1 Corinthians, XYZ. I mean, are you going to keep the commandments? Yeah. Or you always got to get checked, man. Nobody got time for that. This is the book of this is the book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. And desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Listen on. And he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of my wife, and thou hast eaten of the tree which I have commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. So the Lord's given what? Literally the judgment, right, by not listening. Now check this out. When you go to the book of Genesis chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 21. It says, and the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh thereof. So how women are even created, they're created out of a man. Your strength, your wisdom, your stay, your protection, it's all going to come from a man. And that's spiritual. You'll never be able to protect yourself without a man. You'll never be able to fully live on your own and be established as your own entity and being without the leadership, protection, or coming from a man. Even if you don't want a husband, you don't want eldership, you don't want anything, you're by yourself, guess what? You still got to read the book of Ezekiel. You're going to still read the book of Jeremiah. You're going to still read the book of Daniel. These are all men. You're going to still follow Yahweh Shah. You're going to still follow the Most High God, Yahweh. You're going to still read about Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. You're still going to want the spirit of these men. You're still going to want to have to read about our forefathers and keep the decrees that they gave through the hand of Yahweh Shah. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman. So guess what? A woman are not of themselves, man. When you go to the book of 1 Corinthians, let me go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and I'm going to start at 8. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman is of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman. The man wasn't created, right? So like, neither was the man created for the woman. The Lord didn't put the woman here, and then he created the man. Then the man has to now tend to all of the woman's needs. That's America. America makes you feel that way. America puts this spirit on you to all of the men are chasing a woman, right? They have to have good jobs, fancy cars, gold, silver, wealth. Have to be of some type of status, wear Gucci, Fendi, Prada, and all of this music and be trendy just to catch the woman's attention, as if he's created to her needs. It says, but the woman for the man. Meaning before the Lord created the earth and the inhabitants on the earth, there were no such thing as a woman. In the third heaven, there were no women. That's a new creation, man. The angels are men. The Most High is a man. Yahweh Shai is a man. So when you really look in the mirror, and this is not to make you feel low, I don't know what to do, why am I created? Why am I existing? No, it's to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I was created for a specific purpose. Why wouldn't I use my arm to lift, to grab, to work, if it was created for a purpose? That's neglecting it and putting it in a sling. That's what a lot of women do when they put off the reason why they were created. They don't use their members till it dies off. Going back to Genesis, it says, and brought her unto the man. And it says this, and Adam said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman. So man even named a woman. Woman came out of a man. Man named a woman. How could you be proud against your husband? How could you be proud against man? Because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife. So man and woman supposed to cleave. That's laying down together. And that's in every action and enterprise. And they shall be one flesh. So that one flesh is spiritual, man. Meaning what? Can't have more glory and honor and you're just this mighty man and your woman's all the way down her. You're supposed to walk together. When you're in honor, she's in honor. Everything's supposed to be in order under the ordinances of Yahushua, man. That's plain. Now, I'm going to go to this mighty precept. All right, let me get this real fast. Let's go to the mighty book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16 and verse number 50. Right? Let me go to it. Let's go to 2nd Esdras. It's the book of 2nd Esdras. Right, chapter 16 and verse number 50. And I want to play this clip because it's a lot of madness going on in Israel, man. Let's just be honest. It's a lot of councils being had. There's nothing wrong with a council, but everything doesn't need a council. But there's certain situations like this where it's just complete madness.
I'm a fake ass nigga out. I'm a fake ass nigga out. You sure about that? You don't lie about romance, but you want romance. They were great. I expect a woman to talk way different than that, though.
He said, I expect a woman to talk way different than that, yo. So, I mean, this is how it kind of goes down, breaking it down, you know, in very spiritual, but yet easy to be understood in a carnal aspect. Now, it's in a man's spirit to want to lead and be over a woman. So when a woman bucks up against a man and he does something, yeah, it's evil and off, but he's doing it because he feels and knows through the spirit that he's over you. Men put their hands on women. Men yell at women. Men punch holes in walls. Now that's all often wicked, but it's like I'm over her. Like it's a spirit on you. Like the male line is over the woman line. Every animal is in order to the spirit on the earth, but the Eve woman. So as he's doing these things, not to justify the wicked, because I would never do that, but you have to understand how this man knows that she's just being out of order. But they're in the world, so they don't go about it in the scriptures. But that woman, she's reversing the roles. Why is he talking to me like this? I don't need to be talked to like that. And it puts a spirit on a woman because why? Her man isn't in order. Her man isn't leading her upright. And it's hard for a sister to respect a man when he's not respecting himself. So they're all both in a spiritual damn windstorm of emotions and demons and spirits, all through what? Out of order. But I'm gonna play it.
You want romance, the way you esteem your husband, encourage your husband.
He said you need to encourage your husband.
My inspiration, Beyonce is. Nobody. Yeah, she would. I look way better than Jay-Z, baby. Thank you. Jay-Z the ugliest nigga on the goddamn planet. And Beyonce, what the fuck she talking about? She ain't looks. Beyonce not into looks. She into a real ass nigga. Jay-Z ugly as fuck.
Look, they in each other's faces. She about to damn near swing.
Why ain't she going live right now? You need to be going live right now. Tell us somebody who don't care.
Yeah, I know you don't fucking care. And you're manipulative as fuck. And I'm sick of your shit. And that's real talk. Yeah, I'm sure.
All this shit.
Yeah, I'm sure. I make sure. That's why I cheated on your ass the first time.
That's why I cheated on your A the first time. Let me rewind that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I make sure. That's why I cheated on your ass the first time.
That's why I cheated on your A the first time. So this is what goes on in Israel, man. Now, you Israel, even if you want it's truth or not, but nevertheless, this is what goes on, man. Cheating, arguments, murmurs, all type of spirits, fights. People put their hands on one another. It's sad, man. And it's wicked. And she said, that's why I cheated on your A the first time. And he responds back and says, good. Meaning his mind's not right. He's dealing with pride. He's dealing with confusion. He don't know how to lead his house. She's proud. None of these type of environments for a woman and a man is going to be good, man. At all. Because this is how women are raised in this society. Ghetto. Do-rags. Multicolored hair. Short hair. Drinking 40s. Getting drunk, sex, putting their ass in the streets, talk shows, sticking their tongue out, being bad bees, rising up to their own establishment power, envying righteousness, painting their face diverse colors, wearing tight clothes, being snatchy and all of this different stuff, man. Wanting to be rich, wearing wigs. So, I mean, our sisters are destroyed, man. So when you go to the book of 2nd Esdras, 16 and verse 50, it says, so shall righteousness hate iniquity when she decketh herself, and shall accuse her to her face when she cometh, right? That shall defend them that diligently search out every sin upon the earth. It says, like as an whore envieth a right, honest, and virtuous woman. Because that's exactly true, man. Because whores envy a right and honest woman. They look down on them. And whores, they're establishing their understanding in what they have. In their breasts and their thighs and their money and their jewelry. Hey, but they're going to envy a virtuous woman, man. It's going to be like their enemies. The virtuous woman is going to shake her head through the disgusted at a whore, and the whore is going to literally envy her, man. She wants to be that, but those spirits and this society is pulling her a certain way that she can't break free from, man. Let's go to the mighty book at Sirach, chapter 36. Now, when you go into it, a woman is made to depend upon a man. Now, let's say, I don't know about that. I don't believe that. I don't want to know that. And then a woman stuffs her ears. Well, that woman is going to be destroyed, man. It's the book of Sirach 36 and 22. The beauty of a woman cheereth the countenance. Salakia, yeah, that's what I want. It says, cheereth thy countenance, and a man loveth nothing better. It says, if there be kindness, meekness, and comfort in her tongue. These are the things that should be in a woman's tongue. Not catching up on the tea and all manner of things that are going to bring forth iniquity and sin. What does meekness in your tongue mean? Meaning you're very humble when you speak. You're not loud. You're not sassy. You're not popular. It says, and comfort in her tongue. What's kindness? Knowing what to say. It's okay, baby. I understand. Well, everything will be all right. That's kind, comforting, meek words. And comfort in her tongue, you got to comfort the afflicted, your husband. Then is her husband not like other men? Meaning what? You give your husband an opportunity to be the elect man just by you being in order. You give your husband an opportunity to be a deacon. You give your husband an opportunity to be a bishop. You give your husband an opportunity to be an elder. All because of you. You can strip your crown off of your own husband. Because how can he be a bishop if his wife is out of order? That's what it means when it says, then is she not like other men? He is not like other men. You give your husband an opportunity to be a deacon. You give your husband an opportunity to be a chief man by you being in order. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a helper like unto himself, a pillar of rest. Let's see what a pillar is. Your brothers and sisters may know, but let's look it up real fast. Now, this is a pillar. Now, pillars are used for what? To hold up a house. Who's the house? The man is the house. How can a house stand up without a foundation, which is Yahushua, and without pillars? Meaning he's going to fall. Look at this. Look at ancient Rome. The house is destroyed. Only thing left standing is the pillars. The pillars are a chief important part of what? At a house, man. It keeps it all together. So it says, let me go back to that. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. What does that mean? Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. Let's get a precept on that. Let's go to the book of Job. Let's go to the mighty book of Job. All right? Get this quick precept through the spirit. All right? Let's get the mighty book of Job. I'm going to start at, this whole thing is fire. I'm going to start at chapter 1, and I'm going to start at 11. Let's go to Job chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse number 11. And it reads, but put forth now thy hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And lo, God said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Check that out. So Satan got charged to do what? To afflict Job, to hurt Job. to literally do Job evil, man. Now, when you jump up, it says this, verse 8, and the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and sheweth evil. Satan said, Satan answered the Lord and said, doeth Job fear thee, God, for not? This is the point. Has not thou made an hedge about him? So what does the hedge represent, man? Right? Protection, leadership. Salaki, bear with me. Khan Salaki. So literally, it was what? That protection and that stay and that help, right? Was what? Was the Most High, which is our husband, right? Let me get that real fast. Let me go to Ecclesiastes. Go to Ecclesiastes. I'm going to start at real fast. Chapter 10. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 10. And I'm going to start right at verse number 11. Surely the serpent will bite without enchantment, and a babbler is no better. Right? So what's going to happen? That serpent is going to bite you when there's no hedge there. Right? Let me start at verse 8. It says, he that diggeth a pit shall fall into it. And and whoso breaketh an hedge, a serpent shall bite him. So the hedge is the husband. If you break that, a serpent is going to bite you. And he's going to be looking to devour you. Looking to do what? Overthrow you, man. You're going to fall into sin, Satan. You're going to fall into all type of mischief by not having a hedge. So if you flee from your hedge as a woman, you flee from your protection, you flee from your stay, you flee from eldership, you flee from men, you flee from the Most High. All of these things build a hedge. They keep out everything that is going to bite you, man. Chiefly the serpent. So you have to see how important and how serious this is, man. Right? Now, 2, let's go to the book of Judges. Well, I'm going to get a couple more through the Spirit. It's Judges chapter 4, verse 18. It says, and Jael went to meet Sarah and said unto him, turn in my Lord, turn unto me, fear not. So you have women that are cooks. You have women that sew, that do mighty works. You got women that work, you understand, that help take care of the house. You got women that do all of these works that we're bringing about, the widowhood, washing saints' feet, lodging strangers. But women are also what? They're warriors, man, too. You got Jael, you got Judith, you got other sisters that are not even mentioned that help in diverse things, man. I mean, a sister is going to literally be there for you no matter what, man. Let all hell be breaking loose. And your woman may throw down with you, man. It says this, fear not. And when she have turned in unto her, into the tent, she covered him with a mantle. So she's acting like she's protecting this man and bringing him into the tent. Now, when you read this chapter, verse 4 all the way down, these are the Canaanites. The war is breaking out. All hell was breaking loose, man. It says, and he said unto her, give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink, right, and covered him. So she may act like she's protecting him and helping him, but that's a high level of discernment. Again, she said unto her, stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be when any man doeth come and inquire of thee, and say, is there any man here? That thou shalt say no. Then, right, Jehoheber's wife took a nail of the tent and took an hammer in her hand and went softly unto him. Meaning she was very sly and slick when she was coming up. So women are very, very cunning on the left-hand side, man. So like on the right-hand side, just like a man is, right? What did Rebecca tell Jacob to do? Right? Put hair all on him and use all this very high level of discernment. And smote the nail into the temple and fastened it into the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. So she took that nail and she smote it with a hammer into his temple, man, and literally killed him. So you got Judith, she chopped off a head. Jael, she took a nail. So women could get down too, man. They're not necessarily the warriors of the army, but nevertheless, they can do the work of the Lord, man, if need be, to get down as they need to. Jumping down to verse 4, you had Deborah. Deborah was a judge. You had Hannah. Hannah was a prophetess. You had Philip's daughters, which prophesied, right? When you go to the book of Acts. This is the book of Judges chapter 4 verse 4. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lisbethel, she judged Israel at that time. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramoth and Belial and Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up for her for her judgment. So they came up to her to hear her words. Now, how was Deborah and what was Deborah like in the nation? She was like a mother to the inhabitants, right? This is the book of Judges chapter 5 and 7. And the inhabitants of the villages ceased, and they ceased in Israel until that I, Deborah, arose, that I arose a mother in Israel. And that's what a lot of sisters got to be to a lot of other sisters and a lot of men, man. You got to be a mother, because a lot of people don't have mothers. They don't have that guidance and protection, that leadership, food, all of these different things that a mother does, and they put you and they swaddle and care and they build you up. That's what a mother does, man. That's what Deborah was doing through the spirit, man. Helping judge matters and get women and men and the nation back in order, because there was no king there. Man, all hell was breaking loose during that time. Right? Let's go to the book of 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 5. And it reads, it says, when I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in thee, which dwelt first in thy grandmother Lois and thy mother Eunice, and I am persuaded that in thee also. So when Paul was writing to Timothy, he said, look, I know you have the unfeigned faith that's in you, man. I know you're strong. Stir up that gift that was given to you, which first dwelt in thy grandmother Lois. So you have a long line of women that raised their child upright. Now our grandmothers and our sisters, they just smoking weed, cigarettes, grandma all out of the house and at the club and at bingo with them Uncle Earls, and everybody's in an uproar, man. It says, and thy mother Eunice, and I am persuaded that in thee also. So you had a line of women raising their child upright through the spirit. And that's how we got to be. We got to get back to this as a nation and building up the nation, you understand, of Israel. Right? But Lord willing, I'm going to come back, do a part 2, if it be the Most High's will, or another video around the same topic, dealing solely with marriage, or dealing solely, how to be married and different things like that to help build up the nation in marriage topics, sticky situations, what to do, what is marriage, how do you get married, the ordinances, how to keep a healthy relationship going, and all things to help build up the sisterhood as well as the nation and the brothers. Because a lot of people have no sense of direction, or may just not know the precepts, or just need another opinion on the matter. But let's go to the book of Revelations. It's Revelation chapter 2 and verse number 3. All right. I'm going to start at Salaki, chapter 3 and verse 2, and it reads, Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. So you have to be watchful in this thing, in all things. Strengthen up what's remaining that's about to die. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come to thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So if you're not watching and being diligent in all things, the Lord is going to visit you like a thief and blow out your candlestick. So continue to read, pray, and fast. And Lord willing, this was edifying through the Spirit. We're going to come back, most high willing, and do a part 2 and further elaborate, on this through the Spirit. But with that, Shalom.